Hey guys, how's it going? I'm your host today, American Eye, bringing to you a topic the New World Order doesn't want you to know about.
Previously on American Eye, we discussed families who rule the world, and today we're going to bring you part 2. These people possess riches beyond our wildest belief and have sought to impose their rule on the people that live on Earth. The hidden hand that controls the world has an impact on our daily lives, and today we're going to dig through some information and find out just who they are. From the people who control the media with subliminal messages, to our former presidents who are involved in some secret societies. Here are Families Who Ruled the World, Part 2.
But first, we'd like to give a quick shout over here to these people who watched Part 1 before. If you're tuned in now, we appreciate your insight.
Number 9. The Oppenheimers. Considered to be some of the richest people in Africa, the Oppenheimers controlled a large stake of the De Beers mining company, which had been connected to other families who ruled the world. Back in 1880, the first notable Oppenheimer was born, named Ernest Oppenheimer, and he came from Freiburg, Germany. He was the son of a cigar merchant. At the age of 22, he was sent to South Africa to purchase diamonds for a diamond brokerage in London, and eventually became mayor of the town of Kimberley in South Africa in 1912. With a loan from J.P. Morgan, they started what's known as the Anglo-American Corporation of South Africa. In modern times, it's a multinational company that's responsible for depleting other countries' natural resources. It's a major producer of diamonds, copper, nickel, coal, iron ore, and so on in 6 different continents around the world. One of the current Oppenheimers is still alive, and he's worth roughly $7.6 billion and could afford to spend $1 million for the rest of his life without going bankrupt. Harry Oppenheimer, son of Ernest, was a well-known South African Freemason and exposed as a communist. He was often ranked as being one of the richest men in the world during his peak. Number 8. The Van Duyn family. Beads were one commodity used as a method of currency between Europeans and Native Americans. What's now one of the most populous islands per capita was reportedly bought in unbelievable fashion. Legend has it that Dutch settlers purchased the Manhattan Island for about $1,000 worth of glass and shell beads. The Dutch had mastered glass and bead production, making them quite valuable in the process. Today, beads can also tend to be quite valuable during Mardi Gras. In any case, the Van Duyns were a part of this legendary business deal and worked for the Dutch East Indies Company. The name Van Duyn, having the prefix of Van, would indicate royalty or nobility to a degree. Much of the family's wealth is mere speculation, but a wealthy Dutch merchant family that was once able to colonize Manhattan first makes it open for interpretation. One of the best indicators of this family's secret power is that Harrison Van Duyn joined groups such as the Scottish and York Rite Freemasons and the Holland Society. Keep in mind that the Bilderberg meetings take place in the Netherlands, which invites globus elites to discuss issues. Number 7. The Disney family. Don't tell us that Disney is a part of the Illuminati too and destroy everyone's childhood. There can't be anything evil about Mickey Mouse, can there? Some feel as though Disney has helped bring American culture to its demise. It's believed that the Disney family originates from France and joined William the Conqueror across the English Channel. Their original name looked like this, meaning from Isigny, which is a town in Normandy. It rose from the bottom, taking over land, controlling media, brainwashing innocent children, and stealing ideas from employees who get little in comparison to the company's success. Like many people who successfully made it in Hollywood, Walt Disney and his father were both communists and treated his employees to be as obedient as possible. Disney parks help keep people distracted, while the Illuminati carries out their goals of world domination. Movies that appear to be for children often have some sinister plotline or subliminal message the deeper you look into it. Personification used by cartoons was seen in Soviet Russia, and to some people, this might seem like a way to devalue humans' worth. Walt was quoted that he quite frankly preferred animals to humans. In any case, Disney parks have been established throughout the world, giving children false expectations for the real world. Is it also a coincidence that many children Disney stars turn out to be a total mess when they grow up? There's another place inside Disneyland which is said to be hidden and reserved for the wealthy elite known as Club 33. Keep in mind the Scottish Rite uses the number 33 for the highest attainable degree, such as Albert Pike. There certainly seems to be a lot of strange info out there about Walt and the company that we suggest you look more into. Number 6. The Li family. Although the name Li is fairly common in China and in parts of Asia, the powerful family lives in Hong Kong and appears to have close ties with the Illuminati in many different ways. Some believe the Li family was responsible for setting up a communist rule over China in a way the globalist elite felt was best. Their family has had prominent seats in government throughout history and created the Tang dynasty that lasted from the 7th to the 10th century AD. One notable Li goes by the name of Li Ka-shing, and according to some sources, he's worth roughly $32.8 billion. This Hong Kong businessman has been one of the most influential businessmen in China, controlling everything from real estate, financial services, retail, energy, and so on. Another Li by the name of Li Peng served as the 4th premier of the People's Republic of China, and yet another Li was the first prime minister of Singapore. It's also known that the Rockefellers had a very high respect for this family and allowed them to do business here. It's believed that with cooperation with the Illuminati, this family has been allowed to expand their business into places like Vancouver and set up some banks to use in Canada. Number 5. The House of SAUD. In a world that we'd like to think that royalty doesn't have total control, that's not the case for Saudi Arabia, who's been in the hands of the House of SAUD since 1744. The throne has been passed down to the first son of the king, but the succession has now moved from brother to brother. The king has absolute power of the country and appoints cabinet members for various reasons. The net worth of the entire family estimates to be about 1.4 trillion. Right now, the current king, Salman bin Abdulaziz, after his brother passed away at the age of 90. If anything happens to Salman, his nephew, Muhammad bin Nayef, will be the next king. This would be the first uncle to nephew succession. Some people have sought to overthrow the royalty of Saudi Arabia, and they're typically met with a sword to the neck. In 2016, a pro-democratic leader, Sheikh Namir, called for a democratic election and was swiftly executed. Freedom of speech doesn't seem to exist here. In any case, this family could be one of the wealthiest we've mentioned so far, and their government has had much influence over our own. Number 4. The Morgan family. The Morgan family is one of the most prominent banking families in the US and around the world. They've been responsible for funding some shady projects and previously mentioned as the funders of the Oppenheimer business. If you're familiar with the history, JP Morgan funded Nikola Tesla to create the Tesla Tower. This would have been a no-cost, pollution-free energy that would utilize the Earth's natural movement, and it was suppressed in the early 1900s by various groups who believed that their jobs were on the line. JP Morgan cut funding to Tesla's tower in New York when he found out that it might rival with his control over fossil fuels and electricity. In any case, some feel as though the Morgans helped convince our president to engage in World War I, since he had lent a lot of money to the Allied countries and wanted to ensure its eventual return. Now with the merger between Chase Bank, which is owned by the Rockefellers, and Morgan Bank, there seems to be a frightening tie between the two wealthy families. The family is estimated to be worth roughly $50 billion, but there's no way to know for sure. Number 3. The DuPont family. The DuPont family escaped persecution in France during the French Revolution and settled originally near the Brandywine River, close to Wilmington, Delaware. The first DuPont settler went by the name of Pierre Samuel Dupont de Nemours, who was the son of a wealthy Huguenot watchmaker in Paris. His sons, Victor Marie Dupont and Eleuthère Irénée Dupont, would join him in the voyage across the Atlantic in the 1800s. After settling down for a while, they noticed that gunpowder in the colonies was of subpar quality, and they wanted to make things right away. Similar to the Rockefellers with oil, the DuPonts established a monopoly with gunpowder, and they were forced to split up into two different companies. At the end of World War I, the DuPonts became insanely wealthy, selling their gunpowder to the Allies at an inflated price, and they weren't afraid to show off their wealth. After the World Wars were over, the DuPont family focused on selling things that were made from new chemicals such as nylon and Teflon, which proved to be harmful. They're one of the leading families who have a stake in genetically modified crops, pesticides, and making a fortune from polluting drinking water supplies. Number 2. The Bush family. There's been a total of 3 presidents who've been a part of the Skull and Bones Society. The first president was William Howard Taft, the other being both George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr. Many others who've joined the society have worked in high-ranking positions in the CIA, state senators, and have been CEOs of powerful companies. Many of them are billionaires and even Nobel Prize winners. If George Bush Sr.'s father, Prescott Bush, was president, then there would have been 4 presidents since he was a member too. In 1924, he became the vice president for an investment bank with his fellow bonesman from Yale. The bank was suspected of holding on to gold from enemy countries during the 1940s. Prescott Bush was an avid supporter of the American Birth Control League since 1942, which makes sure our population doesn't get too high. It's believed that the Bush family was also a rather new addition to the global elite, and Prescott maintained a close relationship with Nelson Rockefeller in the 1960s. The Bush family gained even more power after opening up their oil companies. The Bush family has had prominent roles in politics since the 1970s. George Bush Sr. served as the ambassador to the UN, head of the liaison office in China, and as the director of the CIA. You also want to keep in mind that 2 out of 2 Bush presidents have also brought our country to war.
But first, before we get to number 1, which family did we leave off of part 1 and on this list that could be controlling the world right now? Let us know in the comments section and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video.
And number 1, the Rothschilds. Possibly the richest family of all of them are simply known as the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds had a humble beginning, but as their bank industry grew, Meyer de Rothschild sent his 5 sons across various capital cities in Europe to set up business. 1 in Paris, 1 in Naples, London, Vienna, and also Frankfurt. Their goal was to lend money to various governments. After gaining the news quickly about the victors of the Battle of Waterloo, they used this information to make themselves insanely wealthy. The Rothschilds began selling their British stocks, making other people sell them as well, fearing that the British lost the battle. The price of the consoles were finally at an extremely low price, and he purchased as many as he could, giving them about 20-to-1 return once everyone realized that the British actually won. In any case, this pretty much gave them control of the British Empire, and no one would ever be able to get on their level ever again. For more about the Rothschilds, check out our video, Craziest Things Owned by the Rothschilds.